Hello and welcome. Tonight, President Jonathan warns against attempts by desperate politicians to grab power, says public service is not a do-or-die affair. APC presidential candidate seeks the support of Igbo leaders in the north in his quest to rescue Nigeria from economic collapse. Fuel queues return to petrol stations in the nation's capital. DSS says it's due to fear of electoral violence. And Tunisian president urges citizens to unite and fight terrorism following the killing of 25 people at a museum in Tunis.
On business news tonight, equities market ends the week bearish ahead of the general elections. While on sports news, Dime School and Uncle Bayo School will represent Lagos at the 2015 Channels Kids Cup as defending champions Toybat miss out.
Nigeria will be a better place if those who want to hold public office, from councillors to governors and president, can shun desperation in a bid to get to such positions. These are the words of President Goodluck Jonathan while speaking at the launch of a book in Abuja in support of his campaign ahead of the presidential election next week. President Jonathan pointed out that he had never been consumed by the desire to hold public office, though he is ever ready to serve. Also present at the event were important personalities, including former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon.
For all of us who want to serve, we should be ready to serve, but we should not be desperate to serve our people. Sometimes people ask me, Mr. President, from what we read, from what we see you still smiling and you look so unruffled. Yes, nothing will really ruffle me because I am willing and ready to serve, but I'm not desperate to serve. And that is what keeps me going. And if all of us who wants to hold offices, from the list, maybe councillor of a ward, representing a ward in a local government council, or the chairman of a council, or a member of the State House of Assembly, or a member of the House of Rep, Senate, governor, or the president. If all of us are always ready and willing to serve our people, but we're not desperate in that mission, then of course Nigeria will be a better place for all of us. And of course my story is a story that is meant to encourage young people. I have to thank the person who bought copies for the Al-Majiri schools, because I'm dreaming that one day a product of the Al-Majiri school will stand there as the president of this country. And that is why I've been very passionate about education. And I used to tell people that I grew up from a very poor background. But luckily Nigeria is not a caste society. If I was to be an Indian, probably I couldn't have dreamt of even being a commissioner in my state, because it's a caste society where some people permanently belong to a lower class. But Nigeria is an open society, so you can move from the lowest level to the top. But for you to do that, one key thing is education. And that's why I'm pleased, and that's why I lay so much emphasis in education.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate, General Muhammadu Buhari, has appealed to the Igbo community in the north and the Federal Capital Territory to support his efforts to rescue Nigeria from economic collapse. General Buhari says the rescue mission of the APC will be successful if the elections are free, fair, and credible at all levels.
The presidential election may be just a few days away, but the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress has continued to seek the support of Nigerians to win the elections. At a meeting with Igbo leaders from the north in Abuja, General Muhammadu Buhari bemoaned the economic situation in the country.
Where were we 16 years ago when we took over this country? are we now? How much is the naira then? And how much is it now? Does it mean the things you have in your shops, you cannot sell them because people cannot afford them? Because the naira now is about 230 to $1.
The leader of the Igbo group asked Nigerians who desire positive change to support General Buhari's aspiration and prevent a repeat of the 2011 post-election violence. The chairman of Ezudo in diaspora added that the Igbos are not prepared for another war.
We do not want, the unfortunate incidents of 2011 should not be repeated. We do not want to be disenfranchised because our people in the north are planning to run to the east for safety. Security is our greatest need.
We want to continue to live as brothers in Nigeria because the thing that brings us closer and together, that brings us together as a people, is a lot better and better than the thing that separates us.
With a tone of finality, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress says he is optimistic that his party will win the presidential election.
Who in fact is farming is religious? Well, who is doing the Islamization or Christianization of this nation? So I want you to look at this. That these are desperate people who are exploiting religion, one of the most sensitive, one of the most divisive issues that anybody can use to politics.
The meeting by leaders of the Igbos in the North and the Federal Capital Territories aimed at cementing the relationship between them and the presidential candidates of the All Progressives Congress in order to ensure peaceful elections in the country.
Now, days after the Director of Media, Jonathan Campaign Organization, Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode, alleged the existence of an illegal radio station sponsored by the All Progressive Congress to destabilize the country, the opposition party has refuted the claim. The APC's National Publicity Secretary, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, told Channels Television on the telephone that his party doesn't have any radio station anywhere, and since the PDP is the one making such allegations, it may perhaps be privy to what others don't know. He says the allegation is one of such distractions the PDP is peddling to run away from issues and its imminent loss in the March 28 elections.
The fact that Fayemi has been part of Nadeco about 20, 25 years ago, and he was competent to the or probably broadcaster on the Kudura radio contract. Is that enough reason to blackmail him today? Where is his information about the existence of radio change, radio change? And I'm saying, we in the APC, we know nothing about the radio station. If anybody should know, I think I should know. But I should ask Shai Panikayode, so I should ask the NBC, where is it? Who set up this radio? Where is it? But as far as we are concerned in APC, we have no hand in it. We have absolutely nothing to do with it. We don't know about the existence. So you should ask them. The administration knows no bounds. They're looking for all the excuses to go and arrest our leaders. But they will fail woefully. They've lost this election.
Well, it's barely 1 week to the general election, but the issue of whether or not the card readers should be used is still being debated. The electoral umpire, Professor Atahiru Jega, who was a guest on our early morning show, Sunrise Daily, makes it clear that there is no going back on the use of the card readers. He also makes it clear that there are more gains than losses in the deployment of the electronic device.
The card reader has security features. And that is why we believe that no clone card can be read by our card reader, because the card was produced with a security feature and the card reader was produced with a security feature, and you have to be the person who produced the security feature or who has it to be able to use a clone card for our card reader to read. and we've taken adequate measures, and we have guarantees and reassurances that this will not happen, and it has not happened. And if it happens, we will know who to hold responsible. Secondly, there are a lot of talk that somebody will jam the card reader and it will not work. Anything theoretically is possible, but it is a matter of what measures you've taken to ensure that there is safety in what you do. If you purchase cards and you give it to somebody to come, the card, it may be INEC card. It can say, yes, this is an INEC card, but it will tell you that it does not belong to this polling unit if you bring a card to a different polling unit. And if it reads, it can tell you, through authentication, you will know that this is not the person who owns this card. And this authentication can be done biometrically. If biometrically it fails, it can be done physically. So most importantly, and that's why I guess some people do not want the card reader, if some people manipulate accreditation statistics to favor a candidate, and it became evident that there is manipulation, we can use the information on the card reader to audit the result, the accreditation details in that polling unit, and to establish whether or not an irregularity has occurred.
In part two, after the break, Yoruba leaders insist on the implementation of the National Conference recommendations and the holding of the general elections on March 28th. Please stay with us.